The astonishing investigation continues. The maniac has taken the lives of 3 young women. Can the psychic stop him? Don't miss out. The ghosts of the victims will expose their murderer. This is Psychic Investigations, a channel of exclusively true and astounding stories. People who call themselves clairvoyants find explanations to incredible paranormal phenomena and investigate intricate and high-profile criminal cases. Our clairvoyants, Ólga Kalínova and Yána Pasynkóva, are trying to stop a serial killer.
He has attacked 3 girls already. One of them survived, but the other 2 are dead.
All of them looked rather similar. A certain type of appearance, similar height, and the same hair color.
The first victim was Ólga, a student from the local medical school.
She went jogging in the evening, and the maniac assaulted her. Fortunately, he didn't kill her, and she simply fainted.
Somebody scared him off?
And just 2 days later, Maria's body was found in the same park. She lay partially undressed, not far from a path. She was strangled.
She was my only daughter. I gave her everything. I only lived for her.
The motive for the murder was lust. He raped your daughter.
The murderer had one more victim named Alína. She was found in another park, and the MO was identical.
All 3 crimes had a sexual motive. The second victim was also sexually assaulted.
The police investigators hit a dead end.
We've already identified the approximate characteristics of the murderer. It's an adult male, about 1 meter and 70 centimeters tall, with tanned skin and pronounced wrinkles around his eyes.
We've created a composite sketch. Currently, we're checking all the locals, but it takes time.
The spirit of the last murdered girl, Alína, is here.
She was my neighbor. We lived on the same street.
Alína Horbatova was only 20. Like the other victims of the maniac, she was a student, studying to become a teacher and dreaming of working with children.
She was very modest and cheerful.
Alína simply adored children. Her friend Katerina recalls that since they were little, they both dreamed of becoming mothers. Katerina is now 8 months pregnant, but her best friend's dream will never come true.
It's hard to believe this could happen to her. It simply couldn't be her.
Alína's death resulted from strangulation, likely by a hand or hands. The evidence also indicates sexual assault and beating.
The attacker undressed her and took all of her clothes. Alína's body lay in the middle of the park, absolutely naked.
I wish the psychics would find the monster who killed Alína.
Alína's murder came as a real shock for everyone who knew her. Her family's life came to a standstill. Her parents withdrew from their friends and acquaintances, and they now rarely leave their home.
It hurts a lot.
A week before her murder, Alína started preparing for her summer exams. She rarely went out with her friends and dedicated all her free time to studying. But on the day when she decided to visit her friend briefly, the maniac went out hunting again.
Alína's friend lives a few blocks away from her place, so when she left her friends, she immediately called her mother. She had less than 200 meters left before she reached her home.
2 dead beauties. I see them now. They really look like sisters.
Yes, they did look alike.
Yes, the same outlines.
Alína has something red around her neck, a chain with a gem.
The pendant Ólga described was the only item left on Alína's body after her murder.
Maria told me, "You'll save 2 lives when the girl takes off the pendant with the red gem."
Perhaps it's a hint that the killer will claim 2 more victims. But who is he? I need to see the place of her death. Alína's spirit is here. She approached a young woman in the crowd, took off the pendant, and put it around her neck.
It burns in my throat.
It burns through the neck.
Alína's spirit says, Katerina must reveal what she's hiding from everyone.
Are you Katerina?
Yes.
Give me your hand. You knew Alína well.
Alína and I were friends since the kindergarten. We lived on the neighboring streets.
Alína says you must save 2 lives.
She means you and your baby. Alína wants to protect you from someone.
She fears that you might also be a victim of the man who attacked and raped several girls. Could Alína be referring to her own murderer? The man who's currently threatening you has harmed you before. He assaulted you, Katerina.
It's still difficult for Katerina to recall the horror that happened to her. When she was 14, she was assaulted by 2 young men she had known since she was little.
I was walking home around 9 p.m. and ran into them. I'd known them since I was little because my sister went to school with them, and we lived on the same street.
Coincidence or not, but it happened in the parks in the downtown. One of the attackers blocked her path and called his friend.
He said, "You're not going anywhere." Then he started grabbing me.
I see one of the attackers squeezing your neck.
Ivan.
I had a vision of the young man who chalked Katerina, and I had a chance to see him closely. He resembled the man Ólga Kalínova described earlier.
It's unbelievable. Could Katerina's assailant be the same maniac sought by the psychics and all the local police?
Hold on. Your attackers got away with what they did, didn't they?
Yes, they weren't arrested. The police intimidated me, suggesting that maybe it didn't happen after all, and they even threatened to beat me up.
2 days later, the police visited Katerina's school. She was too ashamed to even go out in public.
First, the police intimidated you, and then your attackers did the same.
The same people started threatening me. It was terrifying.
After the threats, Katerina withdrew her complaint from the police. The case was buried, and one of her attackers later moved abroad. However, the other one, Ivan, still lives in the city.
I needed to find out if Katerina's attacker had any connection to the 3 attacks we were investigating.
He lives nearby?
Ivan?
Yes.
And recently he started threatening you again.
Well, about a month ago, he said. Let's repeat what we started.
Due to the man's threats, the pregnant woman now fears leaving her home.
The man had a lot in common with the murderer, and most importantly, you weren't his only victim.
After they assaulted me, I was told it wasn't his first attack.
I sensed that Katerina's assailant was somehow connected to Alína. Yána, what did you find there?
These are dried roses. Alína's body was found here, and the roses were brought by a man named Ivan.
Ivan brought a bouquet of white roses here.
Do you know what this resembles? When maniacs visit their victims' graves.
He showed up at her funeral.
Were they friends?
They didn't communicate.
Then why?
I don't understand. Could Ivan have killed both Alína and Maria?
We need to talk to this Ivan. Can you show us where he lives?
I can, but I don't want to.
You won't be meeting him face to face?
But suddenly, something quite unexpected happened.
In the park walked the same Ivan who had assaulted Katerina.
Good evening. You must be Ivan.
Hello?
We need to talk.
Is this some kind of accusation?
Does the name Katerina mean anything to you?
I don't know any Katerina.
She's the woman you assaulted as a teenager.
No, I don't know her. What do you mean?
I mean that 6 years ago, you and your accomplice assaulted a girl named Katerina.
This is ridiculous.
Stop lying and admit it. It gave you pleasure.
What are you talking about? Should I call the police?
It would be a good idea. We have something to tell them about you. Go ahead.
Don't tell me what to do.
I had no doubt that this man had assaulted Katerina. But did he really have anything to do with Maria and Alína's murder? Did you know Alína?
I did.
Were you at her funeral?
Yes.
And were you in the park on the evening of June 14th when Alína was murdered?
No.
Both clairvoyants keep their eyes on the man. Could he really be the murderer?
We tried to delve into his past through his eyes, but I didn't see the murder. The man brought the flowers to the site of Alína's death because he sympathized with her. I know you harassed Katerina again.
Will you stop this nonsense?
Just know that if anything happens to her, we'll find you wherever you go.
What do we do now?
Just a second. I'm tuning into Alína. She's extending her hand, holding something like a postage stamp. She says, "It's hidden at home," and points to a red building.
Could it be her home?
The house where Alína lived is just a few minutes' walk from the park.
As we approached the house, I realized it wasn't the building I'd seen in my vision. But then, what building had Alína shown me? Could it be the murderer's home? But how do we find it? Is anybody home?
The parents of the deceased girl refused to talk to anyone, but we needed something that belonged to Alína.
Alína's father answers the door. The psychics enter the yard without cameras and return a few minutes later with Alína's personal item and photo.
I need to take these things and perform a ritual. We could meet tomorrow morning and continue the investigation.
The clairvoyants worked in their hotel room with the victims' belongings all night long, and in the morning, they simply shock everyone with what they found.
Yána, it seems that this monster has one more victim. She survived, but she's terribly frightened. However, I feel that the maniac attacked her even before he assaulted Alína, and it happened in the same park where we were yesterday with you and Veronica. I sense that the murderer deliberately chose parks in the downtown for his crimes. He knows every corner there, and he knows when there is nobody around. He knows all of this because he lives a bit far from those parks.
A shocking revelation. Could the maniac really live in the very heart of the city? But where can he be found?
I had a vision. I saw a man from behind. He was standing on a playground. He was playing with a little child.
Do you mean his child?
Yes, it's his child. He has a family, and everyone knows him as a good father. No one would suspect him of being a murderer.
This is insane. It means that right now, the beast who took the lives of two mothers' daughters is somewhere out there playing with his own child. But where is he?
I worked with a map of the city last night. For some reason, Alína's spirit pointed toward the lake. Please bring me the map. I'll show you. Thank you.
The psychic points to the lake situated between the two parks where the murders occurred. It is surrounded by residential buildings. Could the killer live somewhere there?
Yána, do you know this area?
Another park in the downtown?
Yes.
We need to go to that lake.
The clairvoyants decide to drive there. But at that moment, the police informed Katerina Malachenko shocking news. Another young woman come to the police station to report an attack by an unknown man.
We only found out now because she didn't report it immediately. She only did it when these facts gained resonance, and she realized that she was another victim of the maniac.
The young woman, whose name is Yána, was attacked in the same park as Alína. Just as the clairvoyant said, the MO is the same: a blow to the head, strangulation, and an attempted rape. The attacker took Diana's pants and shoes, just like in his previous attacks.
I see the maniac on this playground. He's playing with a little child. It's a girl. She says, "Let's go home. It's time to go home." Over there.
Does he live anywhere here?
Yes, his home is somewhere there.
A demon lives here.
It's the same red building that Alína showed me in my vision.
we need to go inside.
There's no one home.
Who lives there?
Ólga and her daughter. And what's his name? I forgot.
Andrei.
And Andrei.
It turns out that a man named Andrei has been living in this apartment with his wife and their 4-year-old daughter for several years now. According to the neighbors, Andrei went to the countryside a few days ago, allegedly to visit his relatives.
Do you happen to know the address or the name of the village they went to?
I don't know where they live.
We don't know.
Can we talk?
We sense that the man who lives in this apartment may be involved in the brutal attacks on 4 local girls.
You know, as a neighbor, he's always been polite and cheerful with everyone.
Where does this man work?
He works in the mine.
Do you remember? I mentioned the beast that emerged from underground to hunt?
I contacted all the local mining companies, and it turned out that they do know Andrei at one of them. They told me he had recently resigned.
The neighbors gave our experts Andrei and his wife's phone numbers, but they failed to get through to either of them. However, a few days after the investigation, we managed to connect with Andrei's wife.
Could we please meet and talk?
No, I don't want to meet or talk to anyone.
Honestly, I was desperate. To call someone a killer, I needed to look into their eyes, and then it hit me. I could use a photo.
We found Andrei's photo on social media.
I couldn't believe that man could do anything like that. Is it him?
Yes, it's the man I saw during the investigation.
Our journalists urgently passed all the information about the man the psychics suspected of the murders to the police.
We received information about the probable suspect. We're currently working on it.
I don't know. I could even kill him.
His wife will never believe her husband could be a cruel serial killer.
We're shocked. He seemed like a model family man.
The bloody maniac sincerely loves his family.
This is incredible. A seemingly ordinary family man by day, but a ruthless maniac by night?
I see a beautiful young woman with long, fair hair.
Who is she?
He became a dreadful hunter because of her. She's someone from his past.
The cards show unrequited love. The girl didn't reciprocate, and that's when he decided to seek revenge against anyone who resembled her.
But how can he be stopped? We don't even know where to look for him.
The psychics are seriously worried. But suddenly, Yána Pasynkóva says what everyone hoped to hear.
He will be punished, and he won't escape. He feels the tables are turned, and he is now the one being hunted. This is why he quit his job and left the city.
I'm having a vision. A woman emerges from a deep pit. She's the one who will stop the maniac.
The secret will be revealed when the woman finds her way out of the tunnel.
Exactly 1 week after the investigation, the police shared with us that they had detained the maniac. He turned out to be a local resident named Andrei, at whose apartment the clairvoyants had been. An hour before his arrest, another victim, who was lucky to survive, contacted the police.
He attacked her and started strangling, and then he attempted to rape her. After that, he threw her into a sewer manhole. However, she survived, climbed out, and called the police.
The police combed the area while the trail was still warm and arrested Andrei while he was getting off a bus.
We already know that he committed 6 crimes. He confessed to all of them and revealed details of how and where he committed them.
During the search of the criminal's apartment, the investigators found the SIM card from the phone of the first victim, Ólga, who was fortunate to survive.
This small detail will expose the monster.
Thank you so much.
For such crimes, the possible sentence for the convict ranges between 15 years and life in prison.
If you're impressed by the story, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Many more amazing investigations by our psychics are coming up.